Wait, this is Jehovah.
It's a JH.
No, not as a sign, but whenever they do the dramas, they always say Jehovah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Got that.
What's going on here? Who are you? Stop! Stop!
The dog's involved. He's a watchdog.
Oh, I got my seat back.
Daisy, what is it, Daisy? Oh,
Good watchdog. Good job, Andrew.
Daisy.
The intruders got away clean last night. They must have known the inside of the plant like the back of their hands. They knew how to get in, too, even though you had all the locks changed. It's good you rerouted your watchmen. That's what caught them off guard, and I'm sure saved your plant. But we have all the names of those you discharged, and we're continuing our investigation. If anything develops, I'll be in touch with you.
Thanks very much, Captain. I appreciate all you're doing. Jeff, we could have lost the entire plant if those men hadn't been interrupted.
That would have been a catastrophe.
Of course, we're fully covered by insurance. But do you know how long it would take to rebuild this place and restock it with equipment and supplies?
I know.
In the meantime, what about all the employees? What would happen to them? They have families too. We hear in the news about disgruntled employees and terrorism and bombings and arsonists, but you never think of it happening in your own plant. It makes you feel a little helpless, like we don't control our own future as much as we thought we did. I took precautions, everything I could think of. I even doubled our security force, although I didn't really expect anything would happen. But I didn't want to take any chances.
If the watchman had been just a couple of minutes late on his rounds, it could have been disastrous.
That close. You know, Jeff, I spent my whole life building up this business. I started with nothing, and everything worked in my favor. It's been very successful.
Yes, it has.
But I'm not kidding myself. If I had to rebuild and start over, in the time it would take with the competitive market we face today, I might never have caught up. That's what makes me uneasy. How do we protect ourselves? What more can I do to ensure security for my family?
You've done some very serious thinking, Mr. Horton.
Forget the mister. Call me Douglas.
All right, Douglas. There are a surprising number of people who are beginning to feel the same way you do. Many of them have actually lost their life's work or their life savings. Others have come to realize it just by observing the trends.
What do you suggest? What can I do in addition to what I've done?
Frankly, I don't have, and I'm sure no one else has, the answer to those questions. There are too many factors involved over which we have absolutely no control for anyone to ensure the kind of security you're looking for. There may have been a time some years ago when a man could reasonably make a secure future for himself, barring unforeseen circumstances, but not anymore. The times we live in today are beyond human control.
That sounds very pessimistic, Jeff, but I'm afraid I have nothing more to offer. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not ready to quit, and I'm not afraid of the future. We would have survived somehow. It just opens up a new dimension to me, that's all. Something I never expected.
It's a dimension we're all going to have to face sometime. And how we face it and what we do about it could very well change our way of life.
I think I know what you mean, Jeff. And Yes, Miss Jones?
There's a call on line 1 for you, Mr. Horton. It's very strange. A man's voice. He says it's a matter of life and death. I tried to cut him off, but he became quite insistent.
All right. Put him on the
But you
intercom.
need to talk in a second.
Is that you, Horton?
Speaking?
You think you're gonna see your kid again? You're never gonna see him again. Get it? Never.
I can't believe it. What do you make of it, Jeff?
I say call the police immediately. Remember the arsonists.
Right.
Yes?
Get me Captain Jenkins at the police precinct. and put him on through the intercom. I don't like the sound of this at all, Jeff. I never saw such a vindictive spirit.
No, but it's a spirit that's being manifested more and more all the time.
Captain Jenkins.
Hello, Captain Jenkins. This is Horton.
Hello, Mr. Horton.
I just had a threatening phone call about my son.
What was the message?
A man's voice. Said I'd never see my son again. He repeated it. What do you make of it?
It could be a crank call, but we can't chance it. Try to find out as quickly as you can where the boy is now, and call me right back.
Right away. Miss Jones, get my home on the line right away.
Yes, Mr. Horton. Hello? Douglas? Miss Jones said you wanted to talk to me.
Yes, I do. First, though, could I talk to Jimmy for a minute?
Ernestine just took him for a little walk around the block. Is everything all right? There's nothing wrong, is there?
Nothing for you to worry about, dear. How long have they been gone?
Not more than a half hour. They should be home any minute.
When they get back, could you call me? I'd like to tell him something.
Right away, dear. You're not going to give me a hint?
No, just call me. Bye.
Bye.
Miss Jones, get me Captain Jenkins on the phone again.
Yes, Mr. Horton.
Well, Jeff, you heard. I'm worried.
Doesn't look good. He's thoroughly exposed, if it isn't too late already.
Captain Jenkins.
Hello, Captain. Horton here. The boy was taken for a little walk around the block about a half hour ago.
His mother?
No, a maid.
How well do you know her?
Quite well. She comes in regularly to help around the house. She's very fond of Jimmy. I have no reason whatsoever to mistrust her.
I'm dispatching a patrol car out to the neighborhood right away. Quietly. Would you happen to have a picture of the boy in your office?
Yes, a recent one. My secretary could give it to you.
Good. The boys will be by to pick it up on the way. We'll do the best we can, Mr. Horton. Just a suggestion. Maybe you and your wife both better lay low for a while and keep your eyes open. Where do you park your car at the plant? Call someone there and inquire if a stranger may have come in for some reason. I'll hold the phone.
Sure. Better still, I'll get him on the phone and tie him in on the conference line. Miss Jones, get Dickens to the garage on the phone and tie him in on a line with Captain Jenkins. I don't know, Jack. This is getting worse all the time.
You're up against some vicious characters, Douglas.
Hello, Mr. Horton. You wanted to talk to me?
Yes. Did anyone from my car dealer or anyone else come in to look at the car dealer?
As a matter of fact, he left about a half hour ago. He said he was from your dealer. You wanted him to check out something covered by your warranty. It only took him about 15 or 20 minutes.
Did you see what he was doing?
No, there was something under the hood. I didn't bother him. Is it all right?
Yes. It's a bit unusual for Tom Mooney to send a man out, but one thing, though. Don't let anyone go near the car. And whatever you do, don't let anyone start it up. I know Tom wouldn't give me a bad deal, but I'm having a police inspector stop by to check up on the job. He'll identify himself officially. Thanks, Dickinson. Is the inside line clear, Miss Jones?
Yes, it is, Mr. Horton.
Well, Captain, does that confirm your suspicions?
It sure does. It looks like you were a sure target for a bomb.
You saved my life, Captain. How can you thank me?
Let's just be glad we caught it in time. I don't think there's much question about what the inspector will find. This opens up a couple of possibilities. You may be the sole target, not your son.
Oh, how I hope so.
If a bomb was planted in your car, we have a good chance of catching the man who did it. I'll get after our information sources right away. Oh, by the way, I was just handed a note. The squad car I sent out to your neighborhood just radioed in, and the boys said they spotted your son with a maid just walking up to the house.
Oh, thank God.
I thought you'd like to know. Goodbye, Mr. Horton.
Goodbye, Captain. And thanks.
Lord bless him, Douglas. How thankful we can be that Jimmy's safe.
I hope Veronica never needs to know. I've learned many things in the last hour or so. I've heard on the news and read in the papers about children being kidnapped, disappearing, by the thousands, and never being heard of again. And I've thought, what an awful shame. I thought I was a sympathetic and understanding man. And I know many others feel just as I do. I wonder how many of them will have to go through my experience before they can realize the bitter heartache and despair of those children and their loving parents. Why can't we feel the suffering of others just because it isn't our own? I know if this world's hatred and violence and acts of terrorism don't stop, the world will be eaten up by it.
It won't have that chance. It won't be allowed to get that far. One of the outstanding prophecies of the Bible says that God will destroy those destroying the earth. Those who are sighing and groaning because of these bad conditions will have a chance to be spared.
I don't think I've ever prayed before in my life, Jeff. But I did today, several times. And I used the name of your God, Jehovah. Do you think he heard me?
Well, your prayer was an unselfish one. You were thinking of Jimmy and Veronica.
Yes, I was. It makes me think of the position of the thousands of others, hundreds of thousands, who have become victims of these violent times. So many, in so many ways. It never came through to me so clearly as it did today. I know you've thought about it, Jeff, and I'm sure you have some answers.
The Bible does. Jehovah God has put them there for us, and he expects us to look for them and to turn to him for proper direction. He won't disappoint us.
I would like very much to believe that, but I've always had to learn the hard way. I'm willing to try, but there are a lot of questions still in my mind. The solution you've talked about seems so unreal. And yet, for the life of me, at the moment I can't think of another that would do the job so completely and fairly. Would you be willing to take some time to go into some of the details for me? Maybe that way it'll make a little more sense to me.
I'd be very glad to, Douglas. In fact, Connie and I would be happy to stop by and talk to both you and Veronica. You can ask all the questions you like, and we'll try to find the answers one at a time.
Your son Jimmy is on line 1, Mr. Horton.
That boy, he called me. Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm fine, Daddy. You wanted to tell me something?
Why, yes. How would it be if I came home a little early?
Great. Are you going to bring me?
What would you think if I brought something for your mother, too?
Sure. She likes that.
All right, son. I'll see you in a little while. Bye.
Bye, Daddy.
I hope I never forget how I felt when I thought I would never hear that voice again.
Well, Douglas, you should have many happy days ahead of you, for all of you, as a family.
I'll talk to Veronica, and we'll try to set up a date.
The sooner the better. Time is running out.